Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. Thank you so much for joining me. So today's model is going to be someone that I know most of you guys will be able to relate with because especially if you're getting mature like myself, because as we age, ladies, we lose brow hair, right? It's just a fact. We may still have full eyebrows, but then the thickness is going away because we lose the density of the brows. And if you want to know if there's serums and oils that are out there that I recommend that I think will work, I don't typically recommend oils and serums because I believe they work in that they can keep the follicles healthy. What your diet is and your exercise, that keeps the follicles healthy because it's about healthy follicles. Because follicles, once they go, they go. I've been shaping eyebrows for over 25 years now, so I think I've been around long enough to know the brow hairs. But I am not a dermatologist. I'm not a professional, obviously, so I don't know all the ins and outs about what's happening underneath the skin. But what I do know is from doing this for so long is that we can make the brow hair get longer. We just can't create more hair, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, I always tell my clients, try it out. What have you got to lose? Hopefully not. Then to maybe something to gain, or a hair fuzz can get a little longer. You can wake some of that up. But so that's why God invented makeup. That's why God invented great makeup, really. And this is why I'm here to show you how to maximize your eyebrows. So the model I know you're going to relate with. I know you're going to relate with it so much that you're going to share it with someone. Definitely subscribe, give me a like, everything that I need to continue with what I'm doing here. Because I really like to show everyone out there in the world how to better their brow game, really. Because I'm here for the brow shapes. That's the most important thing. Some of you guys may not know this, but my brow's been tattooed a long time ago. So I use myself as a model along with using a model. So that way you guys can see how I'm holding the products and how it's working out for the person I'm doing. So that's why her eyes are closed and my eyes are open. Because I don't want to show you who she is, but I want to show where my eyes are laying. Because, the pupil and the iris, that's very important in how to map out the eyebrows. So without further ado, and by the way, if I didn't mention it, all the products will be in the descriptions below. I will be tagging them so that you can purchase them. So let's get to the model right now. So I'm showing you both of the eyebrows because I want you to see that the one side of her eyebrows is fuller, a little bit higher up. The other side that I'm pointing out right now is lower, right? It's naturally just lower. We all have one side that's a little lower than the other side, but which is why I'm going to address that side, which is why I just did this to my eyebrow with the concealer. And so the one that's naturally lifted, we're not going to work on. We're going to work on, obviously, the one that is naturally lower, because we're going to just lift that up a tiny bit. And you're also going to see me doing her eyebrows that's a little bit more on the dramatic side. Dramatic, but nothing too crazy, right? Okay, so the brows have been shaped and I lifted the hair up, meaning I combed the hair up, I trimmed it a tiny bit. You could already see the difference it has made, but it's still a little bit lower, and that's partly because her eyes are a little bit smaller on that side. We always have one side that's a little bigger than the other, which is why the brows look a little lower. So didn't know that, did you? Or maybe you did, I don't know. I look at these things all day, every day, so I'm focused on it. So, okay, so this side of the eyebrow, I'm first applying the highlighter. Again, the highlighter is something that I use as a guide. You don't have to do this, but I find it to be very easy. You can see things a lot easier this way, as I'm going to show you in just a second. By applying the highlighter first underneath the eyebrows, it's actually going to go right underneath and show a little bit of the gaps that she has, which is easy for you because then you'll know where to mainly focus on applying the color. So by doing this, I'm using a very light highlighter. You can see the lightness, right? And it's almost outlining the eyebrows. Put a little bit too much in the inside here. It's showing off what where I'm gonna apply the color, right? But I almost always use the brush 18 right underneath just to blend it out. Keep this around because you're gonna use this quite a bit. You always want to have this handy because I often relate with this as an eraser. So this is the important area right underneath, which is what I'm pointing out right here. I'm going very slowly and very carefully right here. Then I'm touching on myself here on the eyelid. This, as I showing you right now, those are the areas where you can see, if you can see, hopefully, the gaps, the where the highlighter is showing where the color mainly needs to focus on. I'm going to apply the color all over, of course, but I just want you to see that we all have that, right? And so by applying the highlighter, you can really see those little areas where you're going to pay most attention to. And so, and also the highlighter really shows that nice clean look. And it's, again, it just aids you so much easier. If you haven't done that, please try that out. I'm going to use the medium brown Brow Wiz on her. On me, I'm going to use ebony, a dark color, because it goes a little better with me. I often can go with a ash brown. Now the medium brown I'm using mainly at the end of the eyebrow. You're going to see in just a second, but we always want to measure, right? She actually has that arch naturally, but it's always at the side of the nose bridge in that pinch area right here, in an angle over the pupil, and that is your arch. Not just hers, but it's yours as well. Notice that it's at the corner, okay? Right at that corner right here. So I'm carrying that little arch, and I'm just doing a tiny little mark right there. I always do that. You know what? When you do this, you're going to find that, I don't need to do that anymore because you get in such a habit that you already know where your arch is. So that is going to be where it's going to be a little bit dramatic, because by applying the arch right here, or that little mark, and using the medium brown, now you're probably looking at her hair color going, I have that hair color and I have taupe. Go ahead and keep using the taupe. I chose the medium brown because, one, I just really wanted to make it a little bit more dramatic. She wanted something that's a little bit dressier. And you notice that I started in the middle to the end first. I often do that because this is where you can feel how heavy or how heavy the pressure can be, how light the pressure can be, because it's all about the pressure, because you can have the right shape, but maybe the color is too dark. Press lightly or press heavy, depending on how deep you want to go. And I want to go a little deeper towards the end. She doesn't have as much definition towards the end of the eyebrow. Most of us don't, which is why a darker pencil really helps. It really works here. I mean, it's almost like it's pulling together, and I haven't done any pencil up in the front of the eyebrows yet. So by applying that heavy color, heavy pressure, I mean, just right at the end here, and see that tip over there? I'm just going over that little mark I made. Now I'm just going over this concealer with an old tattoo, so mine's gonna look a little off. That's why it's really important to look at her, right? But look at the way I'm holding the pencil. I'm just laying it down. I'm not holding it like this because I want the pencil to stay pointy and sharp. So by laying it down, you're almost shaving the pencil to keep its integrity of the roundness. That's important. Okay, so right out here is where you want. So now I'm using the taupe. So you're like, oh, good, I have it. Notice that it's up in the front. And notice what I just did. I went in the inside of the eyebrows. I did this because I think most of us tend to do that. We go right in the middle first, in the front, and then you tend to go a little dark. It gets dark. And you're like, oh, that's not what I intended. That is okay. And I'm not going to change my pencil because I just want you to see my eyebrow just coming to life here on the screen. But I can go lighter up in the front by using, like, say, medium brown on myself. So if you have my hair color, you can do that. So you can use like ebony or granite towards the end and maybe medium brown up in the front. So here's something I think we do. We either like do this, we flicker, and we just go right in the inside. Do this. Use a spoolie brush and just comb over it. When you do that, you tend to just blend and bleed the color out so it spills it out. Don't forget to do that. You just notice what I just did here? I went inside that pocket, that little pocket, and I filled it in with the pencil. Very, very important. So that's when you could really just see me filling that area in, and it just covers it up without putting that much effort. So by taking these little steps, it's all about doing it the best way without putting too much effort. So keep that in mind, because it's all about making it as simple as possible, but elevating your eyebrows. So I think there's that good balance, right? So just apply very light pressure or heavy pressure. I mean, you're using a taupe pencil now, which is much lighter than medium brown. And keeping that end darker, I think, just gives that polish look. Did you know what I just did here? I combed down the hair. Now, I don't have hair up here, but on her, she has hair. Comb it down. Very important if you have hair. By combing it down, you see this open area here. As you're seeing on her. She has a little fuzz in that top area, but she doesn't have much density. As we age, we lose the density of the hair. So we may still have it full, but you start losing, you're thinning out, right? You still have the fullness, but it's thinning out. Very important to fill that area up, on. So by combing it down, you really see that outline and you're just filling the inside of that eyebrows. Very important because you're keeping the fullness, or you're adding to the fullness. That I think we tend to forget, especially when we go in the inside of the eyebrows. We forget that we can fill the above and below to make it fuller. It's not about trying to get it so wide and full to where it looks silly. It's about just maximizing all that you have. And by filling the top and below, you're maximizing your eyebrows by making them just a little fuller. And by brushing the hair down and filling it up here, you're making it a little bit thicker. That's important, right? And I don't know if you can see, but the lighting in this room is going to change over the course of this video. So I have to ask you to excuse me right now. But anyway, so going back to the eyebrow, already come together, and make sure you use that spoolie brush because the spoolie really blends everything together. Brush it down, brush it up. Don't press too hard. If you do, you're gonna have to go back and put some more back on. But by just pressing a tiny bit, you just blend the color in, right? So I haven't really blended this because it's gonna look a little different because I want you to see the difference here. So I go back and forth and have those two pencils, and you may want to go back to the medium brown and go out here, go back to the taupe. The taupe can also obviously go over everything just to blend everything together, and you're not going to get it any darker. Okay, so keep that in mind because you're only keeping the medium brown towards the end here. In my case, it's ebony. And this is why I love this guy, because you're going to see in just a second how important that is. But you notice that it's obviously it's darker, right? It's darker than the rest of her head of hair, her look, but it's not that much darker. And remember, I just had that light color pencil taupe right up in the front. That's it on her. I didn't carry that dark pencil up in the front. So our brow hair tends to be a tiny bit darker than the rest of her hair, especially if you highlight your hair, right? So you just want to keep it a little bit on the medium to darker than your head of hair, but not that much darker. I just think it really emphasized. Now look what I'm doing here. I'm using the brush to clean around the edges of the eyebrows because it just gives that polished, clean look. Very important, and it just makes you look like a professional, right? So you want to go back, clean that little mark here, but it just really helps making it look polished. And I don't really go without this, especially on my clients. If nothing else, this is so important to just, and at this point, you can go a little higher and go, okay, well, I want to emphasize the arch, which is right here. So that's why I always say you want to have this on hand. Clear brow gel is going to be very important because look at this. You're going to see in just a second because she's got that hair, right, that I showed you. She's got a full set of eyebrow hair. It's just not thick and dense. But look what the brow gel is doing. It's creating that thickness because it's applying product on the hair. It's like gelling your head of hair, right? So and I combed it up purposefully, but not straight up, but kind of up in an angle. And here's something that's important. When the hair is getting separated and it's getting combed with the brow gel, you're going to see some areas where, oh, there's a big hole in there. Grab that pencil and go inside that little hole. Try both, the taupe and the medium brown. Look at this before and after. Big difference, right? What I hope that you're not going to see is that it's such too much of a difference, or I'm not really crazy about it. It's too much. it can be a little much, but again, you can use this as a dressier look, but the tips are all there. Go above, because notice that it's much fuller, but it's not too like, oh, it's so big. I don't know. It works and makes sense with the rest of her, trust me, on the rest of her face. I don't have her eyes open. That's why you're seeing my eyes open, because you can see, all the angles, just for, just to protect their identity, right? But the brows is the most important thing, and that's what I want you to see, how going above is important. Using the brow gel is important because it really shows off the hair, even if you have a little amount. Like, I have clients that are like, oh, I know I have hair, but it's not much. And when I apply a little bit of color and some brow gel, they're like, where did all the hair come from? So, I mean, just even doing this over your eyebrows, you feel that you have hair, even though you're like, I can't see any hair. Using a little bit of color and some brow gel just makes a big difference. So I hope you got something out of this tip, and definitely share this with people that I know that has thin eyebrows, that wants to just go a little bit fuller. Apologize for the lighting, because I always use the natural lighting. I'm at the mercy of the outdoor lighting. I don't use filters. So that's why you see me looking always kind of different with the shades of, sometimes I have great lighting at the perfect time and it's like, bam. But my main focus has always been and will always be just your attention on the model and what I can do for the eyebrows. So yeah, and I hope you got something out of it. Please let me know that you did in the comments. And all the products that I use will be in the descriptions below. I will be tagging them, so that way you can purchase any of the products. A little bit of the makeup that I put on myself, because I know some of you guys are always asking. So, and if I forget to mention anything, please ask me on my email, jk@jasminesart. You can always reach me there and say you forgot something, or leave in the comments and say you forgot this, or what is that? And I will try to get to as many comments as I can. So again, thank you for joining me. Give me a like if you like this. Definitely subscribe if you are still thinking about it. And I will see you guys right back here. Thank you.